program for this afternoon?
I must say that this thing is very different. Usually you perform and after you feel like, you have worked out and lots of physical work. And today we're looking and our heart does race because we're looking at ourselves and we feel what we do, but we're sitting here. So it feels very different.
So I'm checking the chat. Please feel free to put questions in there if you have any for them. In the meantime, since I'm a parent of, well, twins, but children in general, I want to know what your kids do when you're making these recordings, because surely they need to be occupied.
Well, that's a very good question, Heidi. So they usually stay in their room and we assign them up for this program. It's called Camp Kinda. So that's literally what it means is that we sign them up. So it's a virtual camp, and so I keep them informed with science and math and little projects they can do. And then we actually introduce them. They're 8 years old, so we introduce them to the Harry Potter movies this summer. So they are currently on number 7. Finished the first one of
first part of number 7.
Yes, yeah. First part of that. They have one more part to go. So we introduce them to the classic Disney films, and so that's what they're doing. But we do tell them to turn on the volume. So that's something that we feel really bad about because they're so vibrant. They're very happy kids, and they like to make noise. They like to talk to each other and argue with each other because they're twins. But we constantly tell them not to make loud noise but to let the steam out, we take them in the afternoon for a bike ride, and they actually 3 days ago. Was it 3 days ago?
Yeah, 3 or 4 days ago.
Yeah, they learned how to ride bikes without training wheels. We took the training wheels off, and we thought it was going to take a while, but only took them an hour. Somehow they both started riding bikes, and they're thrilled, and so that's what we've been doing.
There's a few instances where we had them, I think one of the Harry Potter movies they watched in complete silence with only captions.
Oh.
And then we asked them to watch it later on. And of course these are, it's living room concerts, so it's a little bit more forgiving conditions because you're going to get street noise, you're going to get, occasionally there was a lawnmower in the background, things like that.
We have to wait.
So we don't need complete silence like a recording studio. We can, let it be a little bit more natural. But there was also a funny instance where in silences, we would sometimes hear our daughter Lily whistling because she's an expert whistler. So she'd be whistling the things that we just played, and we have to say, please whistle a little bit quieter or just whistle in your head.
Yeah, but they both have incredible ears. So whatever we perform, we practice, we rehearse, they remember the tunes. And after that, they will, start either singing and whistling. And so when we do perform, when we do rehearse the Elgar and Bach, those encore pieces, and there were a few times when they were in bed, so to them it was a lullaby for them.
And I see our son Ethan's cello teacher is here, Sally Gross. She said, looking
Hi,
forward
Sally.
to hearing the Choi family quartet. Yeah, we hope to play with them one day. We'll make little mini videos.
Thank you so much, Sally, and you're such an inspiration to us and to our son, and we want to thank you so much.
Actually, to feed off of Sally's comment and what you just mentioned, have you guys performed together? I'm sure as a family you do, but have you ever recorded anything just for fun with your children?
A little bit, yeah. We've done some little snippets of stuff for just fun Suzuki pieces that they're working on, and so the 4 of us will get together and play. Mm-hmm. Not with real high production value, but just kind of casually on our phone and that sort of thing. But it's something we'll certainly want to kind of encourage them to do more of too, because they're getting to be very tech savvy at the young age of 8 already.
Yeah, and we, often we were asked by other Suzuki parents, like, how do you keep your children practice? And so we try different things, and I think the best way is when they see us playing a lot and practicing a lot, and they actually practice more as well. So we don't. These days we play so much in the house, and so they feel like that's part of our lives, and so we tell them to practice. They practice, actually. They don't resist just because they see so much what we're doing at home.
Great. So while we're seeing if anyone else has any questions, would you mind describing our plans for the fall for virtual concerts?
So we've the next year, everything is in such a state of flux, and we truly don't know. Even though the state of Illinois is moving to phase 4, we don't know if how things might turn in a few months from now. So we're exploring many different kinds of options, and so we felt it was best to go full steam ahead with a fall virtual series, and then the in the new year, that'll be the second part of our season. That still remains to be seen how things will proceed. So we're kind of just cautiously watching and making our decisions based upon what's happening in terms of the state, as well as the guidelines that we get from others, from health officials. But in the fall, the two concerts that were canceled, I should say postponed. One of them was, and it's still very relevant, a Beethoven Celebration with a bunch of wind players from the Chicago Symphony Orchestra and the Lyric Opera Orchestra, as well as a pianist colleague of ours, Kwang Hao Huang, who is in Oak Parker. They were to present a program that was to have been performed in April. That is being moved to September. And then the Avalon Quartet was to be our season finale this last May. That's being moved to November. And then we will have a holiday concert to conclude the three concerts for the fall season.
So we think that health and safety is always number one concern for us. So as Winston said, we'll see where things are standing by then, but we'll make music for you one way or the other. So stay tuned, and we'll keep you posted.
Great. Well, we're looking forward to it, however we're able to put it together. But I see a couple of questions here. From Jen Marling. She wants to know, since you're both teachers, how are you dealing with teaching your students remotely?
Well, that's a great question. Jen, say hello to everybody. Yes, I think he is trying to figure out that he doesn't actually physically see anybody. We're telling them there's people here in the computer. Anyway, so about teaching online, at the beginning, it was certainly a struggle for us, would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have to figure out how the whole Zoom thing was working. And so, but I think now we both are doing better. I think that we are taking a few steps. And so what we're asking our students to is that because of the internet connection sometimes is not very stable. So we asked the students actually send us recordings before the lesson. And we'll listen to it just in case if the internet connection is not good. And we're actually marking things on the electronic in our iPad, so in the PDF version and the score. So we'll mark it with we can use different colors and we can write notes for them. And during the lesson, and so we know what to do during the lesson, what we're listening for, and we give them comments as much as we can. And after that, we're gonna mark the score while during the lesson. And afterwards, we often send the marked score in the email format back to them, so they know what to do. And we also open the doors for them to send us recording links throughout the week, any time of the day. And so we can always listen, even just for a few minutes. I think the biggest challenge for us and for the students is whenever we think about recording, it's always we're looking for perfection, right? We're always looking for recording for auditions, for competitions. But now we have to regroup in our mind. No, I tell my students recordings for lesson purpose, and sometimes because I can't hear very well. So don't get too nervous, just record something for me. So we're all still going through the whole learning process. Do you have anything to add? I think you were working on sound a lot.
Yeah, sound is always an issue. And of course, one of the biggest difficulties in these kinds of lessons is you can't have simultaneous sounds at the same time. Like in person, what I'm used to doing is as my students playing, I'm gesturing, or I can talk or sing, give them encouragement as they're playing. Over Zoom, anything I say they'll stop, say, "What did you say? Could you say that again?" It's like we can't coexist our sounds. We can't cross. We can't have it happen at the same time. Also visually, unless they have the screen right in front of them, which is not conducive to me seeing their hands, it's off to their side. So they won't see anything that I'm doing unless they've stopped playing and they're focused on me. So we just get used to a different format of it's kind of my turn, your turn, my turn, your turn, going back and forth a little bit more. But that's something we've been playing with and experiencing. And our kids, their teachers are wonderful too. So we've learned from seeing how they run their studios and their lessons, and just getting many different kinds of different types of feedback from it. So it's a learning process, and it looks like it's going to be continuing. What percentage of our lessons will be completely online in the future? It's hard to say in the fall, but certainly a big component of our lessons will be taught in a similar format.
So we had a question, I think, from Justin and Schmidt, and he's asking, what are some of your guys' favorite pieces to play together? Well, I think that there are two types of music that I think we feel very close to our hearts. Is that sonatas, because that's how we met in school. We were both at Northwestern, so I think sonatas, they're more of equal partnership, right? So because often that when you see a violin and piano, it's always you think about the violinist has the spotlight and the pianist the accompanist. So Winston is always a gentleman. He doesn't mind to play encore pieces with me, but I really think he's, feels more musically satisfied if we're playing something that he also has a substantial part. In sonatas, for instance, early classical sonatas like Mozart and Beethoven, very often piano actually has a more dominant part than violin. He actually has a more difficult part. So we enjoy learning sonatas together. And maybe you want to talk about the other passion of us is contemporary music.
Yeah, we've played. Also, one of the things that we did when we first met is we started playing a lot of new music written by composers that were peers of ours, and then had more and more works written for us specifically. So that's something that we've always enjoyed, is to see what's out there, what's being created today. And also, when we're lucky to get the chance to work specifically with the composer on a project who writes with us in mind, that's another person to bring into our collaboration. And I should point out this year, the first concert of our series, we had a wonderful composer, Igor Santos, a Brazilian composer, who we commissioned. He wrote a specific piece for us to play to start off this concert series with the Unity Temple in mind, the design of that. So some of you might have seen that performance, but that's an example of another work that we love, and to be involved with the creation of new music.
Amy, Luna, thank you so much for your comment about finding us in a living room setting that music making become more intimate. We totally agree with you, and so I think that we were thinking about the difference between performing in this setting versus concert hall. First of all, yes, and it feels that when you're watching this, you're with us. But as musicians, we find that because it's in such an intimate setting, in a concert hall, we often have to worry about balance. As a violinist, I'm constantly, because piano is so much bigger as an instrument and has a bigger sound. So we're often struggling with balance and trying to project, but not in this setting. So I find that I can really come down to pianissimo, very soft dynamics, and much more often than I would in a concert hall. So I can explore the soft colors, which in Ave Maria, I would not be able to play in the recap when the theme comes back. I would not be able to play that soft in the concert hall. It would be lost. But in this setting that I can get as down as possible, and Winston's right there, he can play as intimate as possible with me together. So yeah, so overall, we can, it's definitely different, you would say, right?
Yeah, very. I mean, I have a completely different perspective now on music videos that you see. If you see classical music videos, very often they will be either highly produced or it'll be live in concert. If it's something highly produced, what you're actually seeing is the musicians, very often they've recorded the music ahead of time, and then they're pretending to play. They're miming while the music is playing. That way, they don't have to worry about audio, because you have to have microphones pretty close to an instrument in a recording setting. And in some of these videos you see, it's like the room will spin around, and you see musicians without microphones right there. So when you know that's the case, they're miming it as the video is running. We obviously didn't want to do that. We wanted to be able to just play and record with microphones. So it's very difficult. It presents like certain logistical challenges, but in a sense, the living room is easier for that, because we're never looking for shots from far away. Everything is up close in different angles. So it's something that it's a hobby. It's we don't have professional equipment, so we decided just to do it kind of low budget, or virtually no budget, on just an occasional microphone stand, a boom stand, things like that.
And there were a couple times, because they both are playing, so no one is looking at the shot saying, hey, that looks like you both are in. So there were times when, and I'm standing up and the half of my face is not in the take. So you only see half, so we have to redo the take. And so, yeah, so we had certainly our challenges, but I have to say that I'm so proud of my husband, Winston, to really, he is a music director in this case. Not music, I mean film director, right? He's putting all the clips together and throughout the night, and I'm so proud of him, and so thank you.
But I would say for me, the most beautiful visual was the idea of the candles with the reflection. That's completely her idea.
So it looks like maybe you guys have a backup plan in case this whole music thing doesn't work out for you.
There you go, yes.
Just kidding. But to feed off of what you were saying, the difference between filming and if it's miming or if it's really live, how is it different performing in a small venue like your living room compared to a concert hall, say, or any other small kind of chamber style performance versus a large hall?
Yeah, I think when we're in a large hall, you're very much, I mean, some people can completely escape and just be among themselves. But I think most of us, we would feel like we play off the energy of an audience. So like, not that we're aware of what the audience is necessarily doing visually, but it's just an energy. You feel them. Mm-hmm. So you're connecting with them. So everything you do has a purpose of being projected to those that are right there in front of you. When we're recording purely for the cameras, we have that in mind. There's an audience watching, and they might see us from this angle and that angle, but it's really we're just making music together. So yeah, so that's, I guess, one of the main differences between those two formats. It's the awareness of the energy of an audience versus just being amongst ourselves.
Right.
But it's easier in a sense. Don't you find it easier to play for video than just purely audio? Because in a sense, you feel like it's a little bit more of a performance.
Yes,
when it's only microphones, it's you're not really performing. You're just recording. But when there's a video camera running, we do feel it's a little bit more. Let's just let things go and just play for the camera.
Yeah, and also it's casual too, as you can see that just happened, and the kids are around in the house, so it's not uptight, and so sometimes we have a good take, and suddenly they walk into the shot, so we have to rotate. Wait a second, we have to redo it, and so there's a casualness. But I think, as I always think of myself as a hands-on mom in terms of I've always had a hard time thinking about leaving the kids behind when we are going on the road and to perform. So this is something kind of personal I'm sharing with you. So that before the kids came, so we were very active on the road a lot. But since 2012, after they were born, I had to scale back because I really want to spend time with them. And but during this quarantine time, I find that that guilt is not here, or that conflict is not here, because I can make music and record, and they're right here listening, and they're walking around, and I'm not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere, especially we're a team. So when we go very often to perform, both of us are gone. So that's really hard. And so in this case, and I find that it's almost like a silver lining during this lockdown period, and I feel that we can create music from our living room. So as a mother, this is actually really a great way. It's a great combination of music and having the kids around. And so there's nothing um, means more than when we perform, when we play in the living room, and they can start singing or whistling the tunes and inspire them to practice more. So I think in the end, music is really for us is about joy, right? Connecting with each other, with our kids, and so I think in this time that we have been doing that a lot, and that keeps us uh, away from, I guess, some certain mental difficulty that, we would experience otherwise. And we still have our ups and downs because there's learning uh, time right now. We're exploring, and we're in a new place that we never were before. We're doing something new today. But I think just knowing that we have music in the house, and it is something that makes us happy.
Great. So unless anyone else has any questions, I don't think I see anything else in the chats. Anything you guys wanted to mention or talk about before we sign off?
Just thank you so much for joining us, and we
Yeah,
look forward to
thank
announcing
you.
the specifics. You'll see email blasts from the Unity Temple Restoration Foundation with the concert series, the dates, the times, more information about that as we move forward. And so we, even though this inaugural season was cut short, we feel very positive about the momentum that was built through the first 2/3 of the season, and we'll continue it however it needs to be continued, and with the full hope that 21-22 is a robust in-person season that we'll come back with blazing. It'll be a blockbuster of a season. But this next season, we're very excited about it as well.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Heidi, for organizing this today, and for all your hard work, all your support, encouragement, and we wouldn't be able to do any of this without you. So thank you, Heidi.
We're a good team. But yeah, so I think this has been an amazing experience for me. I want to thank Winston and MingHuan for letting us into your home and providing this beautiful concert. Thanks to everyone who was able to join us today. Just a brief reminder again that the high definition recordings will be available, and we will be emailing everybody who registered links to those, as well as a coupon for a future virtual concert through the Chamber of Music series. I just want to wish everybody good health and a safe summer. And thanks again for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye. See you
Bye-bye.
next time.